Hi everyone, this is going to be a weekly oracle reading. It doesn't matter when you view this video though, but I'm going to start doing these weekly videos and they're going to be timeless, so whenever you stumble upon it, there might be a message there for you. So I picked a few different decks to go through today, and we also have some runes to go along with it. So these are two different piles. You can either pick by these oracle cards, the deck, or the runes. And this is going to be pile number 1, and this is pile number 2. So let's get started on pile number 1. Okay, pile number 1, you chose the rune Uruz, which is the rune of strength and sort of tenacity. So we're going to put that back in the pile and see what other runes we get as we go through the readings. But I'm guessing these runes are probably going to be sort of the overall energy tying into the cards in your specific reading. So let's get started. I'm going to start with the bottom. So the first card you have is Unity. And let's pull a rune for that. Yeah, you got the rune Tiwaz, which is probably the closest rune to the rune you guys picked, Uruz. Tiwaz is about, it's the rune of Tyr, the Norse god Tyr, and it's about bravery and courage. And Tyr was known for putting, to help the other gods, he put like the cause before his own personal needs and desires. So that's sort of what this rune is about, is focusing on the cause or the long-term effects before your immediate desires and needs. So with the Unity, I do see you guys are sort of planning your future, and you're figuring out what steps you need to take to move forward to create this specific life you want. And that could involve cutting out certain people or things in your life, unhealthy habits, or anything that's holding you back. You might have sort of a stronger understanding of what it is you want to do here as well. So this feels a lot like sort of a life purpose kind of reading. It looks like you guys are understanding, like, also how whatever you're going to be doing is going to affect the world, and sort of what your legacy, what you're going to leave behind when you're gone. And I also feel like this card always gives me sort of a phoenix energy, like rising from the ashes. So maybe you just recently went through some sort of difficult times, and you came out as kind of like the phoenix, understanding, like this person looks like they rose out of the darkness into this enlightenment, and now they understand, or have a better understanding of what it is they need to do or where they need to go. And again, it's with the rune Tiwa is clarifying the unity card. It's kind of like you're understanding your mission here, whatever that may be, and you're sort of like understanding that that's going to come first now. That has to come first now. So let's get your second card. So your second card is context. And let's pull a rune for that. So you got the rune Awaz to clarify that. And Awaz is about, it symbolizes the horse, and it represents loyalty and faith and trust. So yeah, I'm hearing that maybe you don't have like a clear-cut plan yet. Maybe you just have an understanding of where you're gonna go and what you want to do. Maybe it's just even like a feeling right now. But this rune clarifying context, I'm getting a sense that you don't have to worry about that clarity coming through. It will come through, and I think the rune is saying to have faith and trust in that that clarity to come to you in time. Basically, don't worry about needing all the details right now. Like, that's not what you should be focused on. I'm also hearing that you might be looking strictly to the 3D world and any sort of outside resources for this clarity. And Spirit's saying don't do that. Look inside. It's saying that the answers are going to come from within. The clarity is going to come from within. And when you let that happen, when you let that flow of energy come from within, that's when you're going to start growing. And that's when the clarity is going to come. Yeah, if you start to look within, the understanding will come. And I think once you start doing that, you're going to understand that that's where the power is. Like, all of your manifesting is coming from within. Like, all the power is inside of you. And once you understand that, you're just going to take off. Because I think you guys are pretty, like, adept spiritually. Like, you're the kind of people where it's like you just need to understand something once, and then it's like you can do it effortlessly. And I think that's what this is saying, is once you get an understanding of like all the answers really are within, when you go within, you're going to be able to use that process effortlessly, and you're not going to be worrying so much about finding answers outside of yourself, if that makes sense. Next up, we have friction. Let's get a rune for that. Wow. You got Wunyu, which is the rune of joy. So you guys, maybe right now, I'm feeling you might still be in the thick of this. Like, if this transformation hasn't happened yet, or maybe it has happened, but you're still like, it's like that Eight of Swords energy coming through, where you feel tied down in a way, like you feel stuck. And yeah, I'm really getting that energy. And it feels like you're just looking for a way out. Like you feel like you have this understanding, and maybe that's why context is coming through as well. You're looking for a way out, and you're looking for like answers anywhere, like outside of yourself, to move forward. But this is clarified with the rune of joy. So I think this is Spirit saying that this isn't a permanent thing. This is, you're going to transition out of this stuck energy. And to try not to focus on everything that's holding you back in the outside world. Because that's what I'm really feeling, is that you guys right now are just looking at everything. Maybe you feel like you have to do like a ton of stuff to get where you want to be now. Maybe you understand where you want to be, but you're now looking at it from a 3D sense, and you feel like there's so many different things you have to do to get to that point where you want to be. There's so many different things in the 3D world, like material things you'd have to do or have to get there. But I think Spirit is saying that that's just holding you back. Like those thoughts don't really do anything. Like it's one thing to plan practically, but that's not what this is saying right now. You know, I'm like a big planner, so I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But at the same time, the messages coming through are really to go within, because this person's going within. They're finding the context, they're finding that inside, and then it's just like effortless manifesting. This person, it's the opposite. It's like they're focused on, like they are actually bright and shining, but they're focused on everything around them. They're perceiving everything outside of themselves to be holding them back. And that's ironically going to slow down your progress. It's hard for me to say that because I'm an air sign and I analyze everything, so I understand how that can be difficult. So, I mean, I would still say there's nothing wrong with taking like practical plans and steps, but just don't get overloaded with all of these fears and doubts and worries and thoughts about what needs to be done to get to where you need to be. Spirit's saying you're going to make a lot more progress going within instead. The friction is coming from going outside of yourself for answers. So I think joy is coming up to say, looking inside of yourself is where you're going to find that joy. Looking outside of yourself, you're just going to find friction, and your forward progress is going to be slowed. So the next card we have is Formation. Get a sip of water. Let's get another rune. Right away I'm getting though that there's still healing that needs to be done. So this is the rune Rydau, which is about travel. But with this rune, because Rydau talks about travel, but it's also movement, forward movement, and that's more of what I'm getting here. I feel like more healing needs to be done. It feels like what I'm getting from this card is it feels like you guys are sort of like you're trying to take off. You're trying to sort of sprout wings and take off because of this new understanding. And I think you're feeling down because you can't, like you feel like you can't. And I think Spirit is saying that there's more healing that needs to go on inside before you can fully grow into this purpose. I mean, the colors here too, it's like these orange wings are sort of similar to over here, these orange and purples. So it's like you're right now trying to get to, this sort of fully manifested life purpose, because I think you've started to understand and see what it is. But Spirit's saying that you still need to clear out a lot of stuff internally to get there. That's where the movement forward is going to come from, is, back to, it just keeps going back to these cards. Your forward progress, getting out of this stuck energy, this friction, is going to come from looking within and healing things inside first. That is going to lead you to this growth and clarity and forward progress. I also, just a random message, just heard, let your friends help you. Okay, your next card is repetition. Let's get a rune for that. So this is the rune of protection, Elhaz. So it looks like maybe you guys have been having rough times during the moon cycles. Like new moons and full moons tend to, create a lot of internal change in us. A lot of energy is getting shifted around. So it looks like maybe you guys, that's where your biggest developments have been, but it's also been where you've struggled a lot, because maybe it's brought up a lot of things to clear and a lot of things to heal. Because Elhaz, the rune, this rune can also talk about divine support. So I think one message here is that what you're going through right now is divinely protected, but I think it's also saying that you can ask for help from the divine, and during the moon cycles is a very powerful time for you guys to do this work and to move forward by healing. So I think it's also saying that's another way that you can move into this energy more rapidly, is to take advantage of those big energy shifts and utilize them to clear out whatever needs to be healed. I'm also hearing that, like, when we're clearing energy, it's a lot easier when we accept that that's all it is energy. So I'm hearing like when you actually face the pain, you're going to become, I think it's saying it's safe to face the pain that you're going through inside. And when you try to fight that, it just makes all of this more difficult. So I think, and since this is saying repetition, I think another message here is that, when you're going within, the more you can face this healing work that needs to be done, the faster you guys are going to move forward, and the clearer it's going to become. That's sort of like the message I'm getting so far. Because I think you guys are sort of in this like out the door energy. Like you guys maybe just recently figured out what you want to be doing, or you're starting to figure that out, and you're in this energy of like, okay, now I know, like, let me go do it. And you're feeling stuck because you can't do that. You can't, like, you're feeling like you can't just start right away and start doing your life purpose immediately. And you're sort of feeling in this melancholy, sad energy of feeling stuck. And the advice that Spirit is giving is that when you go inside to heal what needs to be healed and face the pain that you know is still there, the faster you're going to move towards what your goal is. And they're also saying, like I said, that it's safe to face that pain. Like if you're doing this energy work and it feels like it's pretty rough, just remember you can call in your guides and the archangels and to ask for protection beforehand. And I even forgot when I was saying that that's the rune of protection. So if that's something you're worried about, you can always ask for assistance from your angels and guides before doing any sort of work. Because it feels like you guys are sort of dreading this. And I think Spirit's saying it's okay, it's safe. Call in for divine help, call in for divine protection. Because when you do face this pain, you're going to move into this forward moving energy. Is that even visible? I'm gonna move these up a little bit. Okay, so your last card is specialization. Wow. Let's see what rune we get for this. That's a great oracle card to end on. And you guys got Orthila, which is a rune of inheritance. So right away, one thing that I'm hearing is what you think is your purpose, or what, like, and this, your purpose can always change. So like, if you're like, oh, this is it, and then you start it, and then it leads you into something else, which leads you into one more thing, which then is your actual life purpose. But so don't be so worried about if it changes a little bit or anything. What this is saying is where you are and what you think you need to be doing right now is the right thing, regardless if that's where you end up. Whatever you're thinking is where you need to go or do right now is the right thing. And yeah, we did get so I think it's saying, like, have faith in that, like, you guys aren't wrong in believing that you have this beautiful purpose. And with Orthila, the rune of inheritance coming out, I think it's really saying, like, this is your birthright. This is what you agreed to before you came here. Because that's what I'm feeling from this card, is like, this isn't where you're at. this almost feels like your soul, like before you incarnated. She feels like this feels like who you are, and this feels like the journey that you agreed to get back to who you are. And that's why Orthila is coming up, I think. It's saying that this is your birthright. This is you. You are special, right? Specialization. This is the end result. I mean, all of her chakras are aligned. They're all beautiful and open. She has the sun and moon that she's manifesting with. She has the divine coming through, channeling through her. And she's also connected to the earth. I mean, this is like everything you could hope for. And this is like this is saying this is like the end result, right? But this is also your beginning. This is your inheritance. This is what you were before you even came to earth, like before you even incarnated, if you believe in all of this. I do, but this really feels like your energy. So, I mean, it feels like you guys are on the right track. This more so feels like you're on the right track, and it's almost like Spirit's coming in trying to ease your pain of what you're going through. The main pain I'm seeing here is like this stuck energy and this fear of facing your internal pain, because it feels pretty heavy. But remember, they're saying you're protected in facing that, and that to ask for divine support while facing that. And that this is the end result. And that you can't expect, I mean, this person just has like everything. And that to get to this mastery level, you have to understand that this doesn't just happen instantly. And you don't want it to, right? I mean, you don't want your journey to be over instantly. And I mean, she, like, all of that stuff that she is worth so much more having gone through everything that she's gone through, right? And I feel like your soul knows that, and that's why it agreed to go through all of this stuff to get back to here, which is who you really are. Wow. Okay, so let's see. You got 2 of Ariel. And then for your spirit animals, you got the oyster and the deer. So 2 of Ariel. It's important to have balance, working multiple jobs or projects at once, making work fun. So what I'm really still picking up from this is that, like, the stuck feeling I'm getting is still feeling, it's like I'm getting that feeling of stuckness by being overwhelmed. So I think the advice here is don't let your outside circumstances overwhelm you. Go within when you need to, and understand that worrying about your outside circumstances isn't going to serve you, right? Like, worrying doesn't do anything for us. Planning is okay, but simply worrying about something isn't productive. It just soaks up our energy, and it can tear down things that we work for, right? So I'm getting that this balance is more about like balancing the practicality of your life with what's going on internally with you, because I think you guys, it is saying like the internal stuff is really important right now. but you also, you just want to make sure that you're not being overwhelmed. I think either by your spirituality, like the stuff you have to heal, try not to get overwhelmed by that, but at the same time, don't get overwhelmed by your practical life. And how do you do that? I mean, I think planning's really good, but I also think meditating is really powerful, because meditating basically clears out all the clutter in your mind, and it essentially like pulls worrying out of your mind, and worrying is what's causing this energy. It's what can cause that imbalance. So then with oyster and deer, so with these I'm almost getting like, you feel sort of afraid to move into this energy. It feels like you have this like this beauty on the inside that you're holding on tight to, right? Like, you know that, like, this oyster knows that there's that pearl on the inside. Like, you have that to offer. And it's almost like in the deer card, it almost looks like a pearl surrounding it, and the deer is shining outwards. So it feels like you understand that's inside of you, but you're afraid to share it. Like, deers are they remind me of the rabbit spirit animal, and that they're very, they can be very timid, you know? They're beautiful, but they can be scared off very easily. So maybe that's the energy you're in right now. Like, you're aware of this, you're aware of what you have to share now, and you're sort of afraid to share it because it's like the most vulnerable part of you. But again, I think that you can go back to El Haz, the rune of protection here, and that this is, you know, this is supported, this is protected by the divine. And also, I forget what quote it was from. I think it was like some rock star or something, but it was something like along the lines of, when you're doing something that scares the hell out of you, it means like you're getting closer, or you're on the path of your purpose, right? Like that, it's kind of hard to make sense of it practically, but you know what I mean? Like, if you're doing something that you enjoy, but you're almost like so afraid to enjoy it because it feels so vulnerable to you, it means that it's important to you. Like, it feels something calling to your soul, and it's terrifying to share that because it's such a vulnerable part of you. But that also means that you're on the right track. So I think that's the other message, is that one, is protected. Two, it's saying that you're on the right track with your purpose. All right, so this is your last card. This is from the Akashic Oracle deck. This is called Looking Glass. Really cool little watercolor paintings. What are you seeking? Have you lost your way? Peer into the mists of the wishing well. Quiet your mind and still your body. Allow your eyes to rest softly on the glistening of the water as it ebbs and flows beneath the cloudy wisps. Without thinking, let your question bubble effortlessly to the surface. When you are clear, you will see the mists part to reveal a still, shiny pool. Gaze into this mirror and notice as shapes emerge, a story unfolds, and the truth that you seek is revealed. So, I mean, this sort of just, it kind of ties back into this whole row of cards of, you know, the first sentence in that, do you feel like you've lost your way, or you can't find your way? And then quiet your mind and still your body. So I think it's really saying, again, the whole reading has been about going within. Don't listen to your doubts and fears and the practical ego mind, right? That's going to cloud your way. You're not going to be able to see your path clearly if you're looking to the outside for answers. So again, this is talking, it's the wishing well. It's talking about, what do you see when you look into the water? You see yourself. So it's really about going within. And I think the other message here is going within, meditating, and with that message about your answers coming to light when your mind is quiet. That's really talking about listening to your intuition, right? So following your intuition along your path here. And that's going to happen in the best fashion when you quiet your mind, when you get your answers from a quiet space. It's impossible to, if you're like, it's so hard to get intuitive answers and guidance when you are so, when your energy is so wrapped up in your headspace, right? It's almost impossible. So this is saying, again, just reiterating what we've been talking about. The more you go within, the more you quiet your mind, the easier all of this work is going to become, the clearer your path is going to become, and the safer you will feel about sharing your beauty and gifts with the world. So that was your reading pile number 1. I hope you liked it. That was pretty powerful. And I hope to see you guys next week. Hello, pile number 2. So if you chose this pile, the rune that you picked is Kanaz. Now, this rune is going to be sort of like the overall energy of your read, and Kanaz really talks about being in sort of finding the light at the end of the tunnel, in a sense, and it usually is something creative. It's like a creative spark born out of darkness. So we'll just keep that in mind as we're going through the cards. So the way I'm going to read these is I'm going to, there's 4 different decks in here, and I'm going to do a card at a time, and we're going to pull a rune for most of them to clarify the card. And these are oracle cards. There's 1 tarot card in here, and then some spirit animal cards, and last we're going to finish it off with an Akashic oracle card to wrap up the reading. So let's get started. So your first card, Rediscovery. Wow. Well, that already lines up with the rune. And let's see what rune you guys get for this. Wow. You got Wunya, which is the rune of joy. Okay. So, I mean, instantly a lot of inner child stuff coming out here. Right away I'm actually drawn to a raven feather, and runes are pulled from Old Norse mythology. Well, sorry, that's what they used in divination tools back then, but ravens in Norse mythology, those were Odin's, that's what he used to sort of watch over everything, and I think it's also how he gained wisdom. Like he had, I think it was 2 different ravens that he'd send out to collect knowledge. So I'm picking up like wisdom, inner child stuff, inner child work and wisdom. So yeah, okay, I'm feeling like you guys are sort of rediscovering your inner child. And that process has been sort of like, it's been like an enlightenment sort of process for you. This work of getting in touch with your inner child again has made you wiser, and I think it's been growing you spiritually too. Yeah, your intuition as well. It feels like it's growing. It feels like you guys are embodying it more. Because it's hard to see, but she's wrapped up in 3 different crescent moons. 4 actually. Wow. Yeah, so it feels like you're this calling back to your inner child and sort of rediscovering this energy, because it feels like it feels like this knowing that you guys are coming into it, like a reawakening. That's what I'm hearing. So this reawakening of your inner child, and your inner child is really your soul, right? Before we let these outside interferences sort of cloud our soul, right? So it's like getting back in touch with your inner child. I don't know, maybe you guys have been doing like inner child work, or just what you have been doing spiritually has led you back to this reawakening. And through this process, you've been becoming more wise, and your intuition has been growing a lot. Yeah, I'm also hearing, I don't know why I'm hearing this, but I'm hearing like adorned. Like you can kind of see she has like this crown too. This sun almost reminds me of like this halo around her. She's wrapped around with all these crescent moons. These raven feathers are sort of wrapped around her in this necklace. So it's almost like your inner child is sort of adorned with these spiritual gifts, and you're coming into those gifts by accessing your inner child and having this reawakening. Next card. Preservation. Okay, let's pull a rune for this. Wow. You guys got Orthila, which is the rune of inheritance. Okay. Okay, there's a lot of stuff coming in right now, but what I'm feeling is I think you guys have been going through a lot. I mean, wow. Like, gosh, I don't know. I'm not really picking up on lots of pain. It feels like you guys have already gone through the pain. But maybe it just feels like I feel like you've been in this cloudy, murky, stagnant energy, just lifeless. That's what it feels like, lifeless. And I think it was almost it manipulated the way you saw the world, right? You had this lifeless outlook on what the world was. Like, you developed that from all the pain and really hard lessons that you went through. But it feels like you know that this energy is here now. Like, you know that, because this energy, I don't know if you guys can see it from the card, but it's like a womb, and it's a child in there, and it's light, and I mean, it's like this exact same energy colors over here. So I think you guys have been in that lifeless energy for so long, but you're like spiritually adept, like you know what's going on, and it's like all of these those thought forms and the way you viewed the world, it's like it's finally starting to leave from this rediscovery of your inner child. And I think you guys recognize that. And I think that's why preservation is coming out, because it's like you guys understand that this process is happening, and it's like it's almost like you're afraid. Some of you, not all of you, but I do feel a little bit of fear coming through. Like, you don't want to lose this newfound happiness that you feel from this rediscovery. I think you're afraid you're going to lose it, and you're like, you're trying to hold on to it, and because it's such a stark contrast to what you're used to, what you've grown accustomed to, because your whole world is just this, it's just become this murkiness, this just sort of cloudy, stagnant, like I said, energy. And now that you recognize that it's like that reawakening energy, it's so I'm feeling, it's like very emotional, but it's so profound to you guys, and important, that you don't want to lose it. You want to hold on to it, and you're trying to grow it. I do see that. So you guys, which is good, right? But just know, because I think you guys, there is some fear of like, you don't want to lose it. You're afraid to lose it. But just know, and now this rune is making sense of inheritance. Sorry, there's so much coming in right now. This rune makes sense of inheritance because you guys need to understand that you're not going to lose this, okay? Because this is you. You can't lose yourself, right? Like this energy isn't something that you just found and you're going to lose. You rediscovered it because it reawoken within you, because it is you. All this stuff on the outside here, this darkness and murkiness, those are things that have attached themselves to this. This is you. This is your soul. Okay, so inheritance is coming out here. And inheritance, the rune of inheritance, doesn't talk about specifically money. It talks about the energy of inheritance. So that can be karmic lessons. It can be ancestral lessons. It can be anything, right? It's that energy of what you inherit, what you have in this world. And what this is saying is you can't lose this energy because it is you. You came into this world as yourself. You can't lose your inheritance. You can't lose this inner child energy. You can't actually lose it. It can only be clouded, right? So I think Spirit's coming through to let you know that, and also to maybe ease some fears you've had about, like, like I said, you guys want to hang on to this because you want to grow this. You want to grow this happiness that you've felt. Maybe it's just been a little jolt. Typically that's how these energies come back into our life, because when we get so used to this lifeless energy from really tough lessons, what happens is when this happiness comes in, when we reawaken like our soul, it's almost like we reject it at first because it's so different from what we've become accustomed to. It's like we can't handle the happiness, and then like we want it obviously, but it's almost like our subconscious rejects it right away because it's too hard for us to stay in that energy for too long because we've become so accustomed to the other energy. But you have to understand that this is a process, right? And it can be a slow process. But Spirit's coming through to say, this is happening. You guys don't need to be afraid that this is just going to be gone forever, right? Maybe you did have this jolt of feeling like yourself again, or feeling your soul, and you just felt like this joy, this happiness, creativity too, I'm hearing. And then maybe it was gone like the next day, and then maybe you're thinking like, God, how did I lose it? What did I do wrong? It's a process to get that energy back, okay? But you can't lose it. It's going to come in waves. The waves are going to get bigger and bigger until you get back to that point of just being in this energy. But it is a process. And remember, this picture here, and it's funny because this came out first, but this picture here is like of this child, but she isn't birthed yet, right? She's still in the womb. She's still growing. There's plants around her. There's life growing outwards back into you. So this is the energy that's going to come from this. So again, it's reiterating that it's a process, and to not be fearful that you've lost it, because it's saying with this rune too, you can't lose what is already yours, right? Wow. So you guys have next. Revolution. Okay. Let's pull a rune for that. Again, the sun and moon motifs are coming through. Yeah, so you guys got El-Haz, her rune to clarify, which is funny because El-Haz is the rune of protection, divine protection. It signifies antlers, like on a buck. That's where the rune comes from, and it also talks about there's no need to have fear, right? And I'm just hearing again about the process here. That's reiterating that. Let's take a look at revolution. Okay. There's a lot coming through here. All right, I don't know where to start because I feel like I'm going to forget one thing at a time, but let's just start with the name of the card, Revolution. And what I'm seeing with this is this process was designed So you could go from this energy to this energy. So this revolution is a revolution of how you see the world. Because it's almost like I'm getting this feeling of understanding the light and the dark, that dichotomy. Like this process leading up to this point was to revolutionize the way you interpret the world. So you can see, like you can have the wisdom to see things from all sides, basically. Because it's like not only she's like in the moonlight as she's holding the sun, as she's... Sorry about that, everyone. My video card got full somehow. So I'm going to try to pick up where I just was. So with this revolution card, I'm seeing that you're through this process, and you know, the things you've had to go through has been growing your intuition. And I'm hearing like it's evolving it, you know. And even in this card, there's evolution, the word evolution. So, and you can see like the moon represents intuition. And the way I'm seeing this right now is it's a crescent moon slowly turning into a small moon, into a medium moon, into a huge one. But they're all part of her. So, and it started from darkness. So it's like what you've been going through and what you've gone through has been growing these gifts inside of you. And it was designed to revolutionize the way you operate in the world. So it's like it doesn't matter. It's like in the darkness you can see the light now. Like you understand both sides of those aspects of life. And through it you're using your intuition to guide you. And even if you're going through tough times, you've gained the knowledge to utilize what you have available to you to create a better reality for yourself. And that energy is also like what's awakening in you. I mean, with both these cards, these people, she's holding like the same, you know, she's holding like this flower, this red flower, and a ball of light. And down here, she's also like holding the flower that's attached to this ball of light. And they're both kind of operating in darkness, right? So it's almost like you're finding this inner child energy, and it's going to guide you. It's going to start. You're going to start learning to utilize it to manifest your life. Like you're going to start manifesting from a soul level. get your next card. Shift, yeah. Sort of what we were just talking about. And a rune. This is the rune Hagalaz, which represents hail, like the ice hail. Hagalaz also, yeah, I mean, this rune really speaks to like unforeseen chaos, right? It's like that, the hailstorm that you don't see coming. And with this card shift, it's talking about how it's going to impact your life and shift your life. You know, there's also, this can also sort of mean like resistance is futile. So there could be a shift happening in your life to get you into this energy of rediscovery. And maybe you've been avoiding it. And I think this is a sort of a message of support. Like, it's letting you know that, you know, this chaos, whatever is going on, that maybe some sort of hardship right now, it's intended to shift your path onto a path that's more in line with your purpose. That's going to get you to this back to this inner soul, inner child energy where you need to be to have this revolution in your life. I think it's also talking about, like what we were talking about before, shifting, how it can feel difficult shifting out of negative energy into this light. Because it feels like that's all she's known. So maybe you're clinging on to, yeah, that's sort of what I'm feeling, is that there's a holding on here to things that maybe aren't in your best interest and in line with this path, the path that you're supposed to be on. And maybe this is sort of saying like these things need to come down and shift out of your life for you to move forward and for you to get more in line with yourself. Because I think you do want to sort of reconnect with your soul. But it's kind of saying to do that, you are going to need to let these things go, whatever they are. So then you have revision. And you got the rune of faith. So I'm feeling a very protective energy here. I mean, it's with this, it's pulling me back to this sort of womb, like that womb energy of you're trying to shelter and protect yourself, I think, like a part of yourself that you rediscovered that you think is very vulnerable right now. And you're you're protecting it very fiercely because you don't want to lose it. Now, what's interesting about this card is I think this is, there's these lines of light coming down from the divine that's surrounding this ball of energy, and you can't really see it on this card from there probably, but in this ball that she's trying to protect and guard, there's a tiny little mouse that's like extremely vulnerable, and around it is this dragon that's protecting it. And this person, though, they're trying to protect this energy while they are being wrapped up in sort of negative energy and things holding them back from letting this egg grow. So it feels like there are things that you need to shift out of, patterns, negative patterns that I think intuitively are holding you back from embodying this energy that you want to get to. Because I think you guys did have this sort of reawakening, like we talked about, where you started to feel your soul again. And maybe it was like very brief, and you're trying to get it back. You're trying to. It's what I'm feeling is, when you're starting to a fire, and you see like one little ember lit, and someone keeps blowing on it, trying to keep it up, trying to get the fire going. That's what I'm feeling right now. What I'm seeing, and what you're not seeing, is that all of the negative patterns going on in your life, and you'll know what they are intuitively. That's like the wind just blowing cold air while you're trying to get that fire starting. So I feel like you guys are sort of looking at this little ember, like, how do I get this back? Like, how do I turn this back into a fire? How do I get my, become in line with my soul frequency again, that joy that I felt? And you're so focused on that you're not seeing the negative influences that are what's actually preventing this egg from hatching and from you getting back to your authentic self. Now with this rune, talking about faith, I mean, first off, it's about having faith in the process of like having this part of yourself reawaken. And again, it goes back to the intuition, letting your intuition guide this process. So what I'm seeing here is that right now you're failing to see the things that are keeping this from progressing are the influences that are wrapped up around you, because you are actually already, this beautiful energy. I mean, it's funny because this is like the same energy. This person is like glowing. They have that orangeness, that bright orange hair. It's the same person. So you already are this energy, but this person is shrouded with all of these influences that are actually keeping this from hatching. So I think what it's saying is you're focusing on, like, you think that you should be taking on this hatching process, like growing this part of yourself again. And that's where your energy is being focused in the wrong place. You don't have to grow this energy. That's going to happen, and it's going to happen by you trusting the process, you trusting that this is a divinely guided thing, and at the same time, letting go the outside stuff, right? Because the inside stuff is already there. You're not going to, what was that rune before? Yeah, inheritance over here. This energy is you already. That happiness that you felt, getting back in touch with your soul, that's already there. That can't be put out, right? The only thing that can happen to it, to dim it, is taking on outside influencing energies. And that's what I'm seeing here. It's like you have these this stuff wrapped around you like a blanket, and I don't think you even see it, right? Like now that you're hearing this, I'm sure like your intuition is going off thinking like, oh yeah, this needs to change, that needs to change, like you actually know it already. But a lot of times it's hard for us to see this unless we just hear it from someone else. And you have to remember that these things that are holding you back aren't part of you. They're things we decide to take on unconsciously. And we don't realize that they're blocking our path, which is what I think is going on for you guys. So I think the real work is letting those things go and having faith that this part of you is it's still there. Hasn't gone anywhere. You don't need to try to reawaken that part of you. It's there. What you need to do is that will happen naturally, and that process will progress faster the more you can take out the negative influences in your life. And your last oracle card is time. Again, there's another baby here. Let's get a rune to clarify. This is the rune Ingwas, which is about creation energy. Yeah, so again, what I'm hearing here and what I'm seeing is when you achieve this balance, there's a balance of light and dark in this person. She can work with those energies. She understands them. And in this picture, the baby isn't, that energy isn't wrapped up in like a womb or an egg or something like that. It's like it's birthed. So the message I'm getting here is when you focus on coming in balance with yourself and figuring out what's holding you back and letting those things go, that balance is going to hatch this energy. It's going to manifest that reawakening. Which in turn is going to like your spirituality is going to grow a lot as a result of this, but also your manifesting gifts. It's like as this process is going to unfold, you're going to understand seeing the world from like every side. And the implication of that is that your intuition is going to be fully manifested, and your ability to create, of creation, is going to be fully manifested as well, like in a material worldly sense, you know, like you guys are going to your life is going to start to come together in that way. Yeah, and I forgot this rune of creation. And in this, that murkiness that has been surrounding some of these cards that's holding you back, it's gone. It's surrounded with life force. Trees, plants, creatures, flowers. That's become her. So the end result of this is creation and intuition, and you becoming masters of that. Okay, so we've got, this is the Archangel Tarot deck, and I only pulled one card. You got the Three of Ariel. It says, do what you love, a time of great personal growth in your career or artistic endeavors, working with others in a cooperative manner. So I'm hearing that part of this process to help you guys, the advice is to do things that are meaningful to you, right? Like this person's, there's a couple of messages here, but this person is in their workshop, you know, and they have a bunch of different hobbies in the background. They're like a clockmaker. They're making model planes. There's a music box they're admiring. There's lights. There's wheels. There's an anchor. You know, it's like this is about hobbies. So I'm really feeling like the more you guys do things that are in line with yourself, and they can be really small things, like this you know, there's also gardening in here, maybe cooking. It doesn't really matter. It's like anything that will put you in a better energy. It can be the smallest stuff. Those things are sort of essential for you right now. Because in doing those, I'm hearing that this murkiness is going to dissolve. Okay? And the other message coming through here, you know, working with others in a cooperative manner, and he's staring at this music box, but in the music box is an actual angel. So what I'm hearing is, going back to this revision card, the cooperative energy is about this rune as well, that this faith and trust in the divine and looking to that for your guidance, about, you know, trusting in that, in the angels and the divine to handle that reawakening energy. That you don't have to do that yourself. The way you can help yourself in this, while having faith in them also, is by doing things that get your vibration up, that change your energy and change how you feel. And that's going to be through things you enjoy, okay? Okay, and then I pulled two animal cards. So you got the turtle and the hawk. So right away, I'm feeling this is about balance again, right? I'm hearing you guys have been sort of confused about like which way to go, how much effort to put in, where to put effort in, like you're lost, sort of, right? So I think it's saying you want to find a balance between that slow energy and also that really precise, attentive, focused energy. You want to find a good balance between that. You don't want to stress yourself out a lot about this, but at the same time, I'm also getting that there's like, again, it's about that transition energy. You know, this turtle is surrounded by complete darkness, right? And then this hawk is moving out of that darkness into the light. And that darkness is like dissolving. It's like it's burning off. And the hawk is obviously flying, right? So I think this is sort of lining up with this 3 of Ariel. So the more you embody and practice energies that bring you joy, whatever hobbies that might be, it's going to catapult you out of this dark energy where you kind of feel like, with this turtle, I feel like you guys sort of feel like you're just trying to move through this murkiness, and you can't tell if you're even moving, and like you feel like it's just, again, back to, what was it? Preservation, sorry. That lifelessness energy. It's like you're just sort of like lifelessly trying to move, and you don't even know if you're going anywhere, right? But that's the advice here, is to put your energy into things that you genuinely enjoy. And in doing so, it's going to move you out of this murky, lifeless energy, and you're going to start, like, as soon as you get out of that energy, it's going to be a totally different world. And when you do invest energy in these hobbies, the murkiness is going to dissipate and dissolve. Okay, wow. So the last card is an Akashic Oracle card. I found this on Etsy, and it's really cool. It's like a bunch of watercolor paintings, and they have little messages on the back. So you guys got Spiral Dance. There we go. So it says, like ribbons on a maypole, we each weave a dance that compromises our life. In the moment, we are free-flowing energy, our bodies experiencing movement and change. From a distance, the threads of our existence create a tapestry, a perfect harmony of undulating rhythms and unexpected variations. Remember, from your vantage point on this earth, you may not be able to see the whole pattern. Rest assured that no matter where you are on your journey, your path is part of a greater design. Wow. That is literally all about this having faith and trust. And look at that. So this is about weaving vines, right? Look at this. This is about the divine, there being a divine plan in the center, and all these different things, these patterns coming together to manifest it. And look at the patterns we were talking about earlier. Those lines of light there weaving through you. So yeah, this is just reiterating to have faith. The one line that really stood out to me is, rest assured that no matter where you are on your journey, your path is part of a greater design. So have faith in the greater plan of your life, and that this is all coming together in what's probably been a very difficult time for you, but it is coming together. And to have faith. So I hope you guys enjoyed the reading, and I'll see you next week.